We do it, do it, boo boo. Ba da ba da ba, beep beep. Make sure everything's on, and we're recording another episode of the podcast for you to listen and enjoy or watch for the videos. Watch for the videos. Too much shit in the desk today, and in the room. Too much shit around. Every time I record the podcast, every single time, I feel as if I never get it set up the way that it was for the previous one. You know. So there you go. Anyway, what an odd start. As always, I mean, if we ever became too professional and just went straight into a broadcast, then it'd be weird. The desk is currently, oh my god, I'm knocking off desks, I'm smacking microphones. I can only apologise. Right, episode 43 of the Scott Gibson Show. I am Scott Gibson, your Commander-in-Chief, guiding you through another episode. We will discuss some of the battles that we have faced in day-to-day life and existence. Another week in lockdown. Another week where I, along with many of you, I imagine, feel as if the world continues to operate around you without you fully being involved. I saw a notification on my phone today from Sky News. Sky News has been, they've been busy boys, you know, since COVID started. I imagine, as to have the BBC, if you have that news app on your phone, I do my utmost to keep the BBC away from my phone. Because I don't really like reading shite. But anyway, I saw a notification today. I can't seem to find the news article, because I did want to talk about it since we started recording. Maybe it'll come out in the next couple of days. Maybe Sky News just enjoy teasing a headline just to keep the fearmonger going. But it seems as if scientists have discovered the first case of someone who had coronavirus and who has got it again, reinfected. First time it's happened. They thought that if you got the virus and you ploughed through, you sweated it out, you know, bit of chicken soup, couple of hot toddies, and you get rid of the virus, you were like some fucking outbreak monkey, you know, free to go. You get your COVID stamp and you were off. No mask, no nothing. Fucking spreading droplets everywhere. Get that man off this bus. No, hen, I've got my stamp. See, I had the virus, and now I'm cured, so I can't get it again. Nah, I mean, well, it turns it. You're not exempt. First case. Some poor bastard has recontracted the virus. No, again. Is it true? Who knows? Who knows what's true anymore? Who knows what's real? Up is down, black is white. Nobody fucking knows. We are all medical experts and complete idiots living in the dark at the same time. Alright? This is the beauty of having a global pandemic at the time we are living in. Every fucker is an expert on everything. People watch 20 minutes of a documentary. Would you like me to discuss the plight of the sea turtle? Fuck off. I am hopeful for mankind. I am hopeful. The last few days, I have been seeing a bit more pushback, if you like, from the real world. I, obviously, as an artist, a creative type, a fla-di-da, operate in a different atmosphere from you, the civilian, the normal Joe, if you like, the Francos and Sandras of the world. I operate on a different plane from you. But occasionally, I drop into your world to see what's happening, because that's where I earn my crust. Right? Telling stories of woe, of laughter, of joy. You know? Discussing observations, comparisons between your world and mine. And recently, I'd say the last 2, 3 and a bit years, maybe 4, your world, the civilian world, has been a horrible place to exist. A horrible place. You know? At one point, the snowflake army, the alt left, had grown to a strength many of us never anticipated. Very few knew how to deal with it. But now it does feel as if the real world is starting to push back a little bit more. I am seeing a lot more people tell others to fuck off, and it brings me hope that there is a future for us all. It's giving me joy. I wish I had a specific example for you. I don't. I just know there is a feeling of anger amongst the people. And that anger boils up, feeds its way through the mainstream, and then that manifests in good comedy. That's what I'm hopeful of. You know? I'm hopeful that as we go further and further down this lockdown, global pandemic, fucking COVID bullshit, people start to get a bit angry again. And then that anger manifests in you know, in the dark arts, in the dark comedy. Right? You know, instead of this constant whine of, someone might actually be offended by that. Now, a couple of months ago, even at the start of this pandemic, whatever we were saying, whatever you did, you know, if someone was to pipe up, actually, now, I am offended on behalf of the mass response would have been, oh, I am so sorry, we did not take into consideration that group that we have never heard of until today, but my God, I can assure you that person has been removed, they have been cancelled, and we will remove that tweet or that comment. Whereas now it does start to feel a wee bit as though people are going, I am upset by this, and the vast majority are responding with, fuck off. So there's a hope, you know, that we're going to move back down that road. And because I tell you the truth, right, I have been writing a bit. I say right. It says writing. I've been having some ideas. Right, the creative juices are flowing once again. I have gone to the fountain, to the tap of comedy. I have turned the nozzle, and droplets have fallen from the faucet. I've caught them, and I've consumed them. And fuck me, there's some stuff ticking over there. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's very dark. It's very dark. You know? I have tried. Believe me. Please believe me. Since lockdown, I have tried to write wholesome family, you know, Saturday night at the Palladium, BBC One comedy. I have tried, and I can't do it. I can't. I have tried. Believe me, I've tried. Believe me. You know, I've tried to write jokes about, you know, that's what I've tried to do, you know. Nice little happy, oh, young Timmy, wasn't that a fantastic little bit from that comedian? Oh, Papa, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've tried to write that stuff, you know. The masses, that's shit. I've tried to be them, and I can't be them. I can't. So the stuff I've got now, you know, the ideas, the way the world is, the way that we're all feeling, it's dark, man. You know, but I am hopeful that by the time we get back to live gigs, the audiences will accept the darkness. You know? I'm not even running stuff past the missus anymore. I'm not even offering out suggestions. There was a time, not that long ago, where I'd say, hey, do you think this is a funny idea? No, I'm not even going down there. You know? I'm not going to go down there. I was going to tell you a bit that I tried to write the other day, you know, about Bronson fighting. I'm not even going to say it because, again, in the context of a podcast, sit and listen, you're not ready for that. You need to be in a live environment, and we've got to build up. you know, and it'll be a build. We don't just go straight in, turn all the lights, and you go, oh, the horror. It'll be a build. I started reading Billy Connolly's book again, right, the wee stories. And the opening few pages where he addresses, you know, the book and the people. It gave me a wee kick up the arse, man, you know. And in a sense, I felt as if I needed it. Here's the truth of the matter. I have obviously I've been feeling very low the last couple of months. I have managed to deal with my mental health quite well, I think, since lockdown started. Financial aspect of it, time at home. I never appreciated how much the little breaks away are good for me, good for my head, also good for your relationship. You know, I love my missus. She's the most incredible thing as ever. She's amazing, amazing woman. Absolutely amazing, that lassie. Makes a mean cup of tea. But those weekends away, or those breaks, or when you would be away for maybe 2 nights or 3 nights, it was good without realising it, because it gives you time apart. It gives you time to be alone, me and her. I don't think people appreciate how important it is to just be alone for a little bit. Not in a lonely sense, like that you don't have anyone to talk to or anyone to interact with or anything to do. Just be in your own company and be comfortable with that. You know, I am quite a lonely person in the sense I enjoy my own company. I enjoy... This desk is going to get fucked out the window. I enjoy being alone. I enjoy being alone in my own space. And I often think it must be very hard for people who are unable to do that. It must be very hard for people who are unable to just be alone with themselves. I had a friend, again, I need to stop doing that. He's not really a friend. A guy I know, right, through stand-up. And people would think he's an alcoholic. And I remember one night having a conversation. I was like, people are worried that you're turning an alcoholic, man. And his response to it was, first of all, it was very honest. And I remember thinking he's nailed it. He's what he's saying is true. He just is unable how to deal with it. And he would say he's not an alcoholic. He cannot be alone. He just can't be in his own company. So he knows that if the option is being alone at home in a flat, he would rather be in a pub. And if he's in a pub and he's conversing and he's chatting to people, the likelihood is he's drinking. And he's doing that to combat the loneliness, or just because he's unable to just be by himself. No, he is an alkie, right? That's regardless. But it must be hard for people who are unable to be with themselves in this time. I've got 2 friends who they don't have partners. They live alone. One of which has struggled with lockdown, because he's always travelling. And I think being at home and being in a space has maybe made him realise that he's not built a home. Effectively, it was just a place to sleep when he was back in Glasgow. And then my other friend, she's coping really well because she's just living her life as normal. Because she has, not that she's used to being alone in the sense that she doesn't want to have anyone significant in her life, just that it's not a great difference, And so I've been thinking a lot recently about my career, about stand-up, about what I'm going to do, what happens if the situation doesn't lift soon, what happens if we can't get back to work. And I spoke a little bit about it in the Patreon episode in the last podcast as well, about how the strains financially are kind of really getting on top of us now. But reading that book again and looking at some stuff that I've seen recently where a few people in comedy have been posting a lot about, you know, these outdoor gigs or some of the stuff that have been happening down south with friends in London and whatnot. And although I am completely outside of the industry, in the sense of these gigs won't be offered and highly unlikely that I would be on these bills, some of them have been appealing, and when I've looked at them I thought that looks really cool or that would be quite fun. But the reality of it is, with some of the lineups that I've seen, and if you are to believe the response that's been portrayed by the audience, what I'm realising is if that is the level of stand-up that is getting a reaction, they would fucking hate me. They would fucking hate me. You know? And it just got me... and I mean, what I mean by that is the content and the material and the delivery, the harshness, the language, the swearing, everything that I do as a performer. And I don't do it because it's an act. I do it because it's natural. I don't swear on stage. And many people have said this in the past. You know, if you don't swear and it's nice and clean, you're more likely to get picked up. Picked up for what? I'm doing what I want to do. Why does it always have to have this need of moving you on to something else? I am a fucking live stand-up comedian. I am doing what I want to do. I couldn't give a fuck about your little shit TV programme where you've got to pass over all your material and have somebody go through it with a fine-tooth comb and say, you can't say that word, but may I suggest this word? You can suggest sucking my dick and fuck off. Very happy doing what I'm doing, and I swear during my sets because I swear in real life. It's the natural rhythm of my voice. I talk about dark things or darker material or say some stuff that may be considered offensive because it's just the thoughts that I have, and other people have these thoughts, and it doesn't come from a place of malice, and I would never say anything to truly hurt someone, and if it was, I would refrain from it. But it's real and it's raw and it's true. So I'm not going to change it. And I have seen some videos of, you know, some people in audiences, and I just think, although I miss dead, I cannot put into words how much I miss live comedy. I can't explain it to you. All I can suggest is the one thing you love the most, have it taken away from you but still existing and still seeing it every day. That is what this pandemic has been for me as a performer. I love comedy. But I no longer will ever, and I'll say this now on the podcast, and it's being recorded, it will remain in history, I will no longer change what I do for an audience. Never again. Never again. I've done it in the past where I've maybe, you know, gone on in the middle or gone on at the end or been part of some kind of mixed bill thing, and you've been put in and you see people go on, you know, one after the other, and you think, my God, this is the same fucking mundane, PC, you know, fucking daytime, family-friendly bullshit that's just churned out, the same person, the same fucking thing. And then I come on, and then in my head, you know, you go, right, knock it down to second gear, take all that out, swear very little, if at all, and get through it. And then you just feel like, I've done it in the past, and I'll be honest, as soon as I come off stage, I just think, what was the fucking point? What was the point? What was the point? The performance, the gig, the live act of doing stand-up, of talking, of doing stories, of talking to people, it's meant to be a two-way thing. It's give and take. It's not standing up, reciting the same 20 minutes that you've fucking been doing for the last 10 years. That's not what it is. It's art. It's real. It's interactive. You know, and to have had such a long time away from it, I'm not going to do it again. And starting to read the book again, that certainly part at the start. It just made me realize that why I love live comedy, you know. And if we only get it back in little bits on the stages, you've got to cherish it, and you've got to look after it, and you can't disrespect it anymore, and you can't treat it like shit. And by that I mean putting yourself in a situation where you are going to have to change who you are or what you do. You know, I remember years ago, right, I wrote a story about a pineapple. Some of you may have seen me do it, and it was basically about, long story short, my grandfather thought that his mother had died, and then the family had something to show him, turned out a pineapple, right? Now, I've bastardised it. Now, the finished version that I did in a show was tied in with a part about Extreme Makeover Home Edition, and kind of lubbed these two stories in to make it a nice little bit about my grandfather and parenting skills compared to, you know, parenting skills of your father, right? So how your grandfather and your father raised you differently, right? That kind of thing. And by the time I got that bit of that story into a show, it had been fucking ramped up and made my own, right? It had been made to feel as though it comes from my voice. By that, it was, you know, it was a story. It was, you know, quite descriptive, and it was dark in parts, and fucking made you think somebody had died, you know, as most of my bloody material seems to be. But it had taken these two stories, mashed it together, and I was happy with it. Happy enough that it went into a full tour show, right? But that started as there was a gig that used to run in Glasgow in the basement of a fucking pizza place, right? And it was a god-awful gig. The room, nice enough wee room, but what ended up happening was you would either do it at the weekend and people were there to get a cheap pizza, so you would run through your stuff, or you were on after like 2 or 3 people that it really just made it as if you were there to rescue the night. Or they would have these new material nights where you would go in, and like everything else in Glasgow, and I imagine some smaller kind of comedy communities, it's full of open spots who instantly resent you as soon as you walk in. One, because you don't know their names and they think they're in the cool gang, and two, they continue to die in their arse week after week, and you come in with new material and fucking storm it, right? But a lot of people are just too afraid to admit that they're no good at something. And I can remember being in the room a couple of times. I didn't do it that often, to be fair, and thinking, and this is the God's honest truth of how that bit of material came about. I was having a conversation with another, what you would call club comic, someone who tours the UK doing big comedy clubs, right? And the conversation was along the lines of some of the alternative acts feel as if it is a higher level of comedy that they're doing. And the argument was that we are looked down upon for being club comics, right? You'll never really truly understand the kind of snobbishness that exists in UK comedy, and that we are looked down upon as just being a club act, or you're referred to as a club act. Now, I've always hated that, because anyone who's referred to me as a club act knows that, well, I know that it annoys them that I can do the clubs, and then I can also go and do an hour-long narrative-driven fucking story piece at the Fringe, because I'm absolutely dynamite. And the conversation we were having that night was along the lines of, we feel as if we could go to an alternative night and do a piece of alternative, whatever that is, material, and get as much of a reaction as we could doing a stag and hen, rowdy, drunk comedy club weekend, but it would be difficult to go the other way, right? And that was a conversation. And I said to my mate, I says, I could go up there and talk about a pineapple for 5 minutes, and I guarantee I get a laugh. And that's what I did. And I went on, and I made up a story about a pineapple. There was no swearing in it, and the story was my grandfather came home to discover this big reveal. It was a pineapple. It was a status symbol fucking years and years ago, right? People used to have like greenhouses and grow pineapples in it, and if you had a pineapple, you were like seeing this fucking aristocracy. Like, I don't know. The old days were weird. But that was a story. And from that, it grows and grows and grows, and then it becomes what it became, and it makes it into a full show. But reading the book again, and reading the stories, and reading the initial kind of dialogue that Billy Connolly had put in, it's just made me realise that whatever you do in life that brings you joy and makes you happy, if you can find a job or a way to earn a living through something that you truly enjoy, then whatever it is that led you to that point, you have to stay true to that and keep doing it. Now, whatever your level of success is, and we've spoken about this in the past as well, where for what I regard as my success is probably 5 or 6 levels down from what most comics in this industry regard as success. But that's where I want to get to, and that's where I will be comfortable. But whatever it is that brought you to that in the first place, and whatever it is that you do that has given you that road, that path to pursue the thing that you love, stay on that fucking path, man. Stay true to yourself and stay on that path, because as time goes on and you are immersed in whatever industry, whatever environment it is that you've chosen to be part of, it will constantly try and push and pull you into their way of thinking. And it has given me a new lease of life, man, to think that life is not a sprint. For want of a cheesy fucking analogy, we are obsessed with youth on every fucking platform. You know, he's only 16-year-old and he's the greatest fucking bloody blah ever. That lassie's only 21 and she's fucking achieved $90 billion. Who cares? I'm watching a documentary literally last night, Eddie Pepitone, right, that I hadn't seen before. I've watched his 2 specials. An amazing comedian. Got a podcast out as well, Bitter Buddha. Wonderful comic, absolutely love him. And the documentary was, I think, 2013, and it's following him kind of on the last kind of surge of his career before he, got really big. And there's loads of other American comics in it saying like they don't know why Eddie's no massive, and blah, 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 and it follows him about, and he does his first headline set in New York, and it's a great wee documentary. It's on Netflix. I can't remember the name of it, but if you just search, it's not on Netflix, it's on Amazon. If you search Eddie Pepitone on Amazon, it'll come up. He's got his 2 specials and this documentary. But in the documentary, he's 53, I think, or 54. And it just, reading the book again, watching that documentary, it just gave me the wee push I needed, the wee kick up the arse I needed, because I had started to fall one way or the other off that path. I was starting to get really depressed again. I could feel myself slipping. And I needed that wee knock. And I needed that wee kick to say, listen, it is important to understand it doesn't matter how quickly you get to a point that you feel successful. It's as long as you can continue on and be true to yourself and be honest, you'll get there. And if you get there in 10 years, great. If you get there in 40 years, brilliant. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you get to the end and you look back and you think, hey, I did all right. I did it on my own. I did it my way. But what I'm trying to say without joking is, I needed to read that, and I needed to watch that wee documentary just to give me a wee kind of kick. And maybe some of us, some of you good people, maybe need that as well. It's been a tough year, man. It's been a hard year. Some of us will have had to make horrible decisions, tough decisions, forced into a situation you maybe hoped you'd never be in, or you don't know how to get out of. but it's not going to last forever, and you just got to see it through. One of the things that I read in the book, and it made me think of Bill Burr as well, who's also an incredible comic. If you don't know who Bill Burr is, my God. I was going to say stop this podcast and go and watch it, but finish the podcast and then go and watch it. Any one of his specials. Billy Connolly talks about in the book that he never writes anything down. He talks off bullet points, and it's stories, and it's real, it's true. And because of that, every night can be different. Now, by that, the definition is not every night is different, but the flow, the order, the tags, the add-ons, the drift-offs, the little tangents that he spins on, that will be different every single night. And that's why I love him. That's why he's the best. That's why he's my favourite. And that's why I do what I do. I'm not Billy Connolly. I never will be. But the style of telling stories, allowing yourself the freedom to go off, is a beautifully creative thing. But you need the audience to understand that. And this is where the part in the book and the Bill Burr thing came into it. Because not everything has to finish with a laugh. Not everything has to be funny. And that is getting harder for some comedy audiences to accept, because you are being conditioned by this canned laughter, Saturday night, short, snappy, 30 seconds, all this like 5 seconds punchline, 5 seconds laugh, 10 seconds laugh, all that bullshit that you're being conditioned to think, if I'm not laughing, it's not funny. And if I'm not laughing, it's not comedy. And that couldn't be further from the truth. You have just got to accept that you're going on a ride. You're going on a journey. Some things will be funny, some things won't. Some things might take a twist here, some things might come back in. Some stories may never be finished at all. And I just want to get back to gigging, man. I fucking miss gigging. But the Bill Burr thing, so if you watched his last special that he filmed at Royal Albert Hall in London, there's a bit in it where he does a bit and it goes very quiet, and then the audience starts cheering and going mad, and he says to them, you don't have to do that. I know myself when to move on, and I know that something didn't work. And it's this idea that we have built this kind of feeling of, oh, just give it all your best and what a great try, and almost if people are afraid to fail. And it's not failure. I mean, he's Bill Burr. He's one of the fucking greatest comedians that's ever lived. He's not a failure by any stretch of the imagination. But like anybody else, he's an American in London. It's not his home crowd. He's done a bit that maybe hasn't hit as well as he thought. And then because there's not been that raucous reaction, they've all got on board going like, keep going, Billy. Like, fuck off. We need to become comfortable again with silence, and we need to be comfortable with, as we said at the start of this fucking tangent rant, being in your own company, being alone, sitting quietly, listening to a story, listening to somebody talk, having a laugh. And if a bit doesn't get the reaction or a story doesn't get that response, just sit, absorb it, enjoy it, move on. Not everything has to be responded to with raucous cheering and laughter. Not everything requires a response. It's a performance. It's a dance. It's a fucking to and fro. But yeah, read that book if you've not read it. Billy Connolly's. Is it Wee Stories? Is that what it's called? Aye. It just came at the right time, man. It just came at the right time. I had to read that. And that documentary that I watched the other night was brilliant as well. It was a good kick up the arse. Anyway, What are we at, man? You have got to be joking me. Are we all half an hour? Oh, in the name of God, man. Why do we keep doing these mad tangents? Right. Apologies, team. Apologies for that. Okay. What we're going to talk about, right? I've got a few things here. First off, massive weekend for sport just gone by. Champions League final. Deutschland, über Deutschland, Bayern München against Paris Saint-Germain. A lot of hatred for PSG. A lot of hatred. I don't know if it's the money. I don't know if it's the what's his name? Neymar. The fact that he has sex with his sister. I think that's an issue for a lot of people. I personally can't stand Ratface Di Maria. You'll win nothing. You'll win nothing with that man. He was... I mean, there isn't even enough words to describe how shite he was at Manchester United. And then the rata-faced bastardo ends up getting fucking hundreds of grand a week at Paris Saint-Germain. He doesn't know his luck. I tweeted 30 minutes into the game, someone going, unless they get this fucking toilet off at half-time, PSG haven't got a hope in hell. And what happens? They fucking get pumped 1-0. No, it wasn't the final everybody wanted. Bayern 8-2 against Barca. What a game. PSG 3-0. Lyon, everybody thought great at this final. It's going to be goals aplenty. And I'll be honest, in my head, I thought it was going to be 4-3. Or a high-scoring draw. Get into extra time if no penalties. And then it ended up being 1-0 to Bayern. Still a good game. Glad Bayern won. It's odd with the empty stadium. It is odd. And just the fact that listen, I'm never going to win the Champions League, My playing days are over, and it was the wrong sport. I'm a rugby man, right? A man's game, a gentleman. But it must be weird receiving a trophy in an empty stadium. It must be. And still having to do the dancing and and the head inside the cup and to fucking nobody. It was weird, man. It was weird. But the biggest sporting event was the boxing the night before. And what a night. I don't know if you watched it. If you didn't, you should all watch boxing. It's amazing. And if you're one of these people who's like, it's barbaric, it's violent, it's just utter violence and attacking, fuck off, right? Fuck off. It's brilliant. But people who have this idea that boxing is violent or that it is in some way barbaric or old-fashioned, you've no idea what the fucking sport is. No idea at all. You will... I tell you something, you will have far more violence in football and disrespect in football than you will ever have in boxing. You would never find a boxer who would disrespect a referee or an opponent the way footballers do. Never. Just wouldn't happen. It is... No one can deny it's a physical sport. It's violent in the sense that it's fighting. But it's controlled, and it's a sport. And the more you watch boxing, the more you listen to the commentary, the more you listen to the boxers discuss the fight, you very quickly understand this is not fighting. This is a sport. Many, many years ago, I did a gig at a kickboxing night in Glasgow where run by a guy, Bernie Hammersley, who then became a very good friend, an amazing guy, an incredible man. And that night, there was 6 or 7 bouts of kickboxing, and then one of the fights was just basically 2 guys who'd been constantly fighting in pubs, and they decided to put them on to settle their differences once and for all. And I thought that would be funny. I thought it would be interesting to see how it goes. Now, fully kitted up, heads, gloves, leg guard, everything. Had the people in the corner, there was people there for the gym, organising an official referee. And it was awful. It was awful. It was just 2 idiots trying to throw haymakers. dead within the first 30 seconds, struggled their way through 2 rounds. Horrendous. And that is when you see the difference between someone who is trying to have a fight and someone who is having a boxing match. And one thing I'll say about the boxing as well, again, you can't really compare sports, but I'm going to compare it to football simply because that is the one that we've been exposed to the most. And certainly for football, if you think that the English Premiership, for example, or the Champions League or the Europa League was brought back during quarantine because the country needs something to look forward to, that was brought back for money. That's it. Money. No other reason. Not because you're a Man U fan or a Chelsea fan or a fucking PSG fan or you love the Champions League. It was brought back for money. That's it. Money. The boxing, every single one of them had a mask. I couldn't believe it. Every single one of them had a mask on. Every one. When they come out of the camp, masked up. The coaches, the corners, every one of them had a mask and a face guard. Every one of them had the bibs when they were coming in at the ring. When you saw the action of the fighters walking to the ring, every member of security had a mask on. Every member of the backroom team had a mask on. Everybody had gloves, PP'd up to their fucking eyeballs. The event itself, Fight Camp, I think is the title of it, or the name of the kind of the shows that had been going on. Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You'll know Eddie Hearn. He's like the Vince McMahon of fucking boxing. Who, to be fair, I quite like. He's got some decent banter, man. He had put this event on, or these run of events, in the back garden of the family home, which I think is also the Matchroom Boxing offices. And I remember when the first idea first came out, and people slagged him. I remember him being in Sky Sports going, "We're going to put a fucking boxing ring in the back garden," and people like, "This Eddie Hearn's a fucking idiot." It was spectacular. It was absolutely brilliant. It was brilliant. And I would have watched it again, and I would pay for it again. Hopefully, obviously, as with every sport, you want to see an audience back in, you want to see crowds back in, and certainly at boxing, that's what generates the money. But I would watch that again. I would hope that would become a regular thing or a semi-regular thing, and possibly allow younger fighters or semi-professional or fighters who are maybe the up-and-coming things to feature. And I think it would be an amazing event. But the big fight, obviously White and Povetkin. Now, I'd put out quite a few tweets. I've been a fan of Dillian White for a number of years. I think he's been mistreated. I think he's been hard done by the sport. I think boxing is quite corrupt in the sense that it's a little bit like the wrestling. Not that it's fake, and don't all the wrestlers start having a fucking panic attack. But they enjoy having a front man that they can get behind. And I think Anthony Joshua has been the man that boxing has been happy to push to the front for many years. I know Anthony Joshua's beat Dillian White in the past, other than the Povetkin fight was his only defeat, but I do think Dillian White is a dangerous, dangerous heavyweight. Now, he got knocked out, yes. It was an unbelievable punch. But as they say, that's heavyweight boxing. Now, he had dominated the fight. He put Povetkin down twice previous to this. And then Povetkin just came in with one of the most spectacular uppercuts that you've ever seen in your life. And it was like proper shutdown. You may not be able to see it there in the picture, but if you haven't seen the knockout, you need to check it out, man. I mean, as soon as he connected, it was as if Dillian White just shut down. You can see his eyes. As soon as he connects the uppercut, rolls in, takes the jab, rolls back, and then bang on the left uppercut. And just, he's out cold, man. You can see it, as he's going down, there's nothing there, you know. And that's why you love boxing, especially heavyweights. That's the top of the tree, man. Cream of the crop. Anything can happen. And that's why it's dangerous. And then, like I said, to go back to that point about it being a sport and not a fight, when you listen to the interview with Povetkin after it, he talks about studying Dillian Whyte's fights, identifying that he is either unable to throw an uppercut or defend against it, and then using that against them. And when you hear him say that, and then you realise that is exactly what he's just done in that ring. He's been knocked down twice, dominated in the first couple of rounds, but he knows all he has to do is get in that one shot, that one moment, connect properly, and he'll put you to sleep. And it's spectacular. I was devastated to see Dillian Whyte lose, I'll be honest. I really wanted him to win because I was hoping that it would push him on to be, up there with the AJs and Furies and Wilders. I'd love to see him fight Wilder. I'd love to see him fight AJ. I don't know if that... I hope he still gets a chance, and I think he will. He'll get a rematch. I think he'll take Povetkin out in the rematch. But it'll be interesting, man. But it was an absolutely... Not only was it a great night of boxing, some of the undercards were amazing. I'm not going to talk about Katie Taylor because I think that's corrupt as fuck. But aye, great night for heavyweights. Well done to Povetkin. I just wish Dillian Whyte had got that victory. But hopefully in the rematch, which I think they'll make again this year, gets him then. But what a weekend for sport, man. Great night of boxing and an okay night of football, After struggling through another horrific SPL match. Scottish football's fucking dire, innit? There you go. Did you enjoy the boxing? Did you watch it? Hopefully we get some big fights coming out this year, man. We'll wait and see. What time are we at now? God almighty. I need to get some kind of new setup. This desk is doing my absolute boxing. Honest to God. You can't move without fucking smacking yourself off it. Right, let's do a couple of news stories, and then we've got some good listeners' questions as well, man. Let's talk. I don't know if I must have had like a horrific coke habit in a past life because my nostril is always itching, and I don't know what's going on. Let's talk about this fucking crazy bastard, who does look as if he's a Bond villain. Look at him, chiseled jaw, handsome big fucker. This is the guy who's been poisoned, apparently, by the Russians. What is the fucker's name? Alexei Navalny. Alexei Navalny. I mean, if that does not scream James Bond villain, I don't know. Alexei Navalny. I'll say up front, as Chinese, Russian bots, Chinese bats are probably listening to every conversation that's going on around the globe. I love the Russians, right? Let me get that out there. I've got a soft spot for the Russians. I always have and always will, because they don't fuck about, and I like that. And in the modern world that we live in, the Russians don't fuck about. They're old school, right? It's black and white. They're binary, okay? 1-0. That is it. They don't... There's no grey area. There's no... can you give me one more day to think about... They don't fuck about. Somebody's gone to the Kremlin, to the gaffer, or they've maybe not even made it to the gaffer. They've maybe made it to the number 2, and they're like, listen, some fucker, Alexei Nalev, is out there shouting his mouth off, poison the fucking cunt. As quickly as that, should we not run this up the flagpole? Poison the fucker! I like that. In a modern world where bureaucracy takes over, things are taking weeks to make decisions on. The Russians just move in and they fucking kill a guy. Now, I don't even think he's dead. I think he's still alive, which is even better. Now, obviously, I'm sure the poor man's been through hell. And I'd never want anybody to come to harm. But at the same time, if you know that the Russian government, Putin, if you know that Putin will have you killed, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter what country you're in, right? You could be in London, you could be in New York, You could be in Shanghai. He doesn't give a flying fuck. He'll kill you. If you say anything about me, I will kill you. And cunts still say things, and cunts still get killed. And then people get angry. You're like, fucking shut up. Now this is from Sky News. German doctors treating Russian descendant Alexei Navalny. Alexei. Say tests indicate he was poisoned. Oh, fucking send Poirot home. The Germans have solved this one. And if anybody knows a few things about poisoning, it's the fucking Germans. Am I right, lads? Yeah? Medics at Charité Universitätsmedizin in Berlin, where the Putin critic has been since being transferred from Serbia, on Saturday said the clinical findings indicate intoxication by a substance from the cholinesterase inhibitor group. Don't know what that means. The specific substance has not been identified so far, and a further wide-ranging analysis has been initiated. The effect of the toxin, i.e. the cholinesterase inhibition in the organism, has been proven several times in independent labs. They said Mr. Navalny, fucking why am I so bad at names, remains in an artificial coma and is in a serious condition, but there is currently no acute danger to his life, other than when fucking one of the Russian sleeper agents inside that German hospital gets fucking switched on and suddenly he find out he's been choked by a pair of bed socks. He's been treated with atropine, but the doctors said they cannot currently determine whether he will have lasting issues. I'm going to tell you he's got lasting issues. He's going to be dead. There's no more lasting than death, especially in the area of the norovirus system. I thought the story was going to be longer than that, so that was a complete waste of time by dragging that picture on your screen. But there you go. So he's in a hospital. He's all right, you know. And if I was him, I'd keep my mouth shut, and then maybe you might fucking make it home for Christmas. But you've got to admire the Russians. And another thing, wasn't Hollywood movies far better when Russia was the bad guy? Eh? Hunt for Red October, the Rocky movies. You know, it was just a better bad guy. You know, ISIS, fucking Iraq, the Middle East. These films are shit because they're shit bad guys. We don't care. You know, we feel as if we'll always beat those types of terrorists. You know, rightly or wrongly, we're going into the Iraq war. We'll kick fuck out the bastards. Now, if we had been at that time going to invade Moscow, we'd have maybe went, fuck me, this could be a long one. Even China. I know everybody's like, the fucking Chinese. The Chinese don't want to kill you. They want your money. They don't give a fuck about killing you. They don't care if you live or die. They're not going to try and kill you. They just want everything. That's it. That's all China wants. Everything. Right? Again, you've got to admire that as well. There's no grey area. You know? We want that. Well, we're not selling it to you. Well, fuck you. We'll just make our own. And we'll make it look exactly like that. And we'll sell it cheaper. There you go. Fucking fair play to you. This whole thing about Chinese are going to come over and they're going to kill us, man. We're all Chinese androids. They don't want that. There's enough fucking people in China. They don't need you as well. They just want everything in the fucking world. That's it. Russia's probably the last good bad guy out there. They're probably the last old-fashioned fucking dagger in the teeth, crawling through human shit, fucking good old-fashioned baddie. You know? Everybody else would screw you over and sabotage you and double fucking stab you. No, the Russians, man. The Russians were old-fashioned. You're bad guy, my bad guy, stripped to the waist, fucking here we go. You know? And I admire that. I like that. And listen, if they poison a couple of people, fucking, hey, you know, it's fodder, man. These things happen. Anyway, anything to get good movies back. That's all I'm saying. Right, school masks. School masks is another one in Scottish schools anyway. First of all, let's just look at this picture here, because school masks apparently been introduced into Scottish schools because, believe it or not, Coronavirus cases are going up in schools because 1, kids are dirty fuckers. They are a sponge for viruses. And 2, most teachers have just returned off a 5-month ket holiday and are on a heavy fucking come down. So their immune system is susceptible to everything, including coronavirus. But let's look at the picture, because this fucker, it's not only she not wearing a mask, she's just got a fucking hand over her face, as if that's going to protect her. This article, again, Sky News, because we're avoiding the BBC at all costs. 17 members of staff and 2 pupils have tested positive. Oh, I didn't know this. For a coronavirus at a school in Dundee. Dundee! Ho ho ho! Less than 2 weeks after Scottish schools returned. Fucking hell. 3 community contacts linked to Kings Park School also tested positive for COVID-19 as of 6 p.m. on Sunday, just before the Champions League game as well. Fucking hell, what news to get. The school, which caters for children aged 5 to 18. What? So it's one of these just big, massive schools with every country in it. 5 to 18 with additional support needs has been closed since last Wednesday due to the outbreak, and pupils have been told to self-isolate for 14 days from last Thursday, which they won't be doing because parents will be at work, so the kids will be out, so it doesn't fucking make any sense, so who gives a fuck at this point. Any parents, carers or siblings living with the children should also self-isolate if they cannot self-distance within the household. So what's going to happen is, or what has happened is, we're seeing here, kids have been forced back to school. We are trying to restart our lives, the economy, the world, without being properly protected or really understanding that cases will further go through the roof or continue to spread. Your child's then been sent home. You as a parent now has to stay home because your child is now being quarantined because somebody's been infected at the school, even though you were told to send your child to school, and you're now in a position maybe where your employer's going, listen, we're not getting any fucking more handouts. We're not being furloughed anymore. If you don't fucking get back to work, you've not got a job. But I can't come back to work because the fucking Wayne's been sent home from school because there's been 17 new cases. If you don't get in here Monday morning, you've not got a job to go back to. So then you go into work, and lo and behold, you've not got the fucking virus because your daft Wayne doesn't wear a mask, just covers her hand, and then you spread it, and it gets through the roof, and before you know it, it's 2035, and still no comes back to work again. What is the answer to this? I don't know. Is the answer we just, as I've said, pick a date, 4th of September, 19th of October, 21st of January, and just go, right, see after that, it's every fucking man for himself. Contact tracing identified a link, just very smoothly back into this. Contact tracing identified a link with 2 other schools in Dundee, with 1 primary 2 child at St Peter and Paul's School testing positive on Sunday, and another case identified at the Happy Times Out of School Club. Oh aye. At Downfield Primary School on Sunday. The outbreak at Kings Park School, which has 185 pupils, came after schools reopened in Scotland on the 11th of August. 185 pupils, that is a very small school. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon, who I am very quickly losing patience with, confirmed the outbreak on Monday and said, let me stress the importance of these rules on self-isolation. Self-isolation is a crucial way, perhaps the most important way, of keeping clusters like this under control. The First Minister also announced a consultation into a recommendation for secondary school children to wear face coverings is in its final stages after the World Health Organization have advised over the weekend pupils aged 12 and over should wear them. Again, we're going down this road of pigeonholing people, going, children of age 12 and over should wear face masks unless you're 5'2" and above. So if you're 5'2" and above, but under the age of 12, you must wear a face mask. Now, if you were born on a day of the week ending with the letter Y and are left-footed, then you must also wear a face mask during Greenwich Mean Time 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m, but only if you are facing south by southwest and have consumed pearl barley within the last 3.5 months. Does that make sense? Just say, why do I feel like I am losing my fucking mind? Just say to people, if you leave your cunting front door, put a fucking mask on, you bag of human waste. That's it. No, if you're over 12, if you're under 6 stone, if you only work the weekends, none of that fucking bollocks. I don't care If you're man, woman, child, whatever, don't care how old you are, I don't care what sex you are, I don't care what you identify as, I don't give a fuck what your pronouns are. If you leave your front door, put a fucking mask on. End of story. End of fucking story. Or just come out and go, listen, the mask is all bullshit, none of this is real, fucking enjoy yourself, let's see what happens. I'm fucking sick of it. The UK's 4, believe it or not, chief medical officer said very few, if any, children would come to long-term harm. So fucking just let them go to school then. Let them go to school. Very few, if any, children would come to long-term harm for the virus by attending school, while there was a certainty of harm from not attending. Fucking wankers. Dr. Jenny Harries, England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, couldn't even get the fucking main person in, told Sky News on Monday the risk of catching seasonal flu or being involved in a road accident is higher. Oh, that's good to know, for children going to school than contracting the virus. So, more likely to be hit by a bus than contract the virus. Although these people have indeed contracted the virus. So who knows. But there you go. Ball bags in school. Wear masks, if these idiots understand what a mask is. Fucking arseholes. Right, I'm conscious that we are at an hour already, and with this being a council episode, technically you're only meant to get an hour. Not that I'm trying to deny you the sound of my voice. So let's just say, if you do want to support the show, and I really hope you do, I hope you would like to get some more content, you can become a Patreon. It's the best way to support me, support the show, help it grow. There's some things that we would like to do with the show. But to do that, to grow the show, to create more content, we need more Patreons, because the Patreon money allows the podcast to grow. It helps the podcast continue to evolve. And I have a picture in my head where I would like to get to with the podcast. I would like to be in a position where we have a studio. I'd like to employ some people to help with the podcast and for us to make some more content. The dream scenario would be that we're in a position where we can make regular content on a weekly basis on top of the podcasts that go out, whether that be online sitcoms, whether it be sketch shows, whether it be different types of interviews, whatever it would be. But to do that, we need to grow those numbers. So to everybody who is part of the Patreon just now, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for supporting the show. But please, if you are listening and you want to engage further or continue to help us grow, become a patron. You do that at Patreon. It's patreon.com/Big Scott Gibson. Go to the website. All the links are on there. And if you sign up to the Patreon, you get 2 episodes a week. You'll get the council episode on a Wednesday. You actually get it early. If you're on a Patreon, and then you get every single Friday you get another Patreon only episode as well, which are good wee episodes, man. I'm enjoying doing them. So do it, sign up, $5, or you can go higher, get a pin badge and fucking all sorts of goodies once we get back to normal. But yes, please do support the Patreon. So let's do one question now from everyone who's asked. I've got some amazing questions here. Andrew, Simon, Stephen Barton, Douglas Anderson, Stephen Harry Wilson, thank you very much indeed for your questions. We're going to do one now, and the rest of you guys we will pick up on Friday's episode for the Patreons only. Right. Let's just go with the top. Let's go with Andrew. First question in, and thank you for getting in touch, Andrew, and asking the question. Andrew has asked on the Patreon, you love a movie and a TV show? Yes, I do. But who would you like to play you in a movie of your life? And would you like a comedy or a drama like Man in the Moon? Man in the Moon, what a fucking film! Oh! Who would play me? Danny DeVito. Obviously. No. Who would play me? I have no idea. Do you know who've just popped out of my head? Nick Frost. I'd get him to play me. Big boy, unit, loves his food, funny guy. I'd be quite happy for him to play me. I'm trying to think of kind of big, heavy, bald men that I'm aware of that are actors. This is the thing, Hollywood does not like the full-length figure, you know? Do you go the other way and pick somebody weird and get them to put fucking 12 stone on, you know? I don't know. Who do you think could play me? Hey, get in touch. Drop us a line. Answers in a postcard. I would love it to do. I'd love to do something like Man in the Moon. It's an amazing film. I might watch that again tonight. I like comedians who, when they do acting roles, do straight roles or do drama. I don't know if you get me. I mean, I was just going to say something stupid and I've stopped myself. I know a lot of comics, more so Americans, who are stand-ups, do comedy movies. But then I think maybe as time goes on, if they focus more on the film side and the acting side, they lose quite a bit of what makes them a comic, you know, because it is a muscle, man. You've got to keep doing it. So if I ever got that, I mean, if that was, you know, you can fantasize about a career and make up. If I got to the point where I was making movies, it would be, I'd love to do I love Jim Carrey anyway. I think he's incredible, right? But I do like that he bridges that between comedy and drama. Now, obviously, I don't think Jim Carrey's done stand-up for decades. But I think you can have someone who's a very, very good stand-up comic and do serious roles rather than doing the comedy bits, you know? Who would play me? I don't know, man. I don't know. Good question, mate. And Man in the Moon as well. You just reminded me of that. What a brilliant film. And what a documentary that is. God, I've talked about it before and I can't remember the name of it now. Is it Jim Meets Andy or Andy Becomes... It's basically a documentary of Jim Carrey making the film about Andy Kaufman, Man in the Moon, which is phenomenal. And you do it that way around. Watch the film Man in the Moon and then watch the documentary. Because if you love the film, watching that documentary after it will give you an even bigger appreciation of it. It's an amazing film. An amazing man. An amazing actor. Great film. Right, Andy. Okay, listen. We've rabbited on for far too long. Apologies. But Simon, Stevie Barton, Douglas Anderson, Stevie Wilson, we'll get to your questions on Friday, boys, and thank you so much for getting in touch. If you would like to ask a question, or you want to support the show further, please do become a Patreon, man. Let's grow these numbers. We've got a good little bunch now. We want to keep it going up. And, yeah. Big plans, man. Like we said right back at the start of this episode, it's not a sprint. We'll get there eventually. And I know that we'll get there eventually. We'll get to where I want the show to be. But I can only do that with your support. So, if you can, become a patron. If you can't, I understand. You can help the shows another way by simply sharing on your social medias, and it's probably a good place to stop because that lamp there is about to go out. Right, subscribe, share the post, share the episodes. I don't know, the usual stuff. I can't really think at this point. Enjoy yourselves. What you're doing. I don't know. Just live your lives. Be happy. Be free, and hopefully see you soon. Hopefully I'm going to have some news to tell you soon about some gigs as well. That would be interesting. Right, stay safe, wash your hands and your arsehole, and I hope and pray to the sweet baby Jesus I see you on a battlefield soon. Onwards.